Hello, Cherries fans. Welcome back to another video here on Cherries Red Army. It's a fan preview today, and our special guest that some of you may have seen before, from Forest Fan TV. Yes, it's the impartial host of Beat the Drop. It's Wolverine. How you doing, Wolfie?
Bro, I am very good, man. I'm very good. It's been a crazy 24 to 48 hours, but somehow I'm still awake. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy, mate.
Yeah, you're
Not like a lot of the fan base, I'll add, but I can only speak on my behalf.
yeah, you're wallowing in your in what you said you thought would happen, or what you hoped would happen, I suppose.
It's a tough one, isn't it? You never want your team to lose, but what I was finding over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and you as Bournemouth fans will know what I'm talking about because you've gone through it a lot. It's just like I wasn't excited to watch Forest. It started to become a bit of a chore those last few games, man. And you knew, mainly because you knew what was going to happen. You're going to see low block football. Eventually, they were going to break you down, and then you'd lose, and you'd lose, and you'd lose. And I don't mind losing, man. I've seen losing for the last God knows how many decades. I'm used to it. There's a manner in which you lose. And it was just clear that it was disconnected on and off the pitch. And his time was up, man. He had to go. Love him for getting us promoted, keeping us up last year. But you got to take sentimentality out of it. And it was time. I think it was past time, but that's a whole subjective debate.
Yeah, I think that Bournemouth fans can definitely relate to enjoying watching football more after a managerial change than before it. So I suppose we better get on to that. It's relatively breaking news. I suppose it's less than 24 hours breaking news still at the time of recording that Forest have changed manager. Got to be honest, kind of hoped you'd wait another few days to
manager bounce, baby.
Change. So yeah, but Marinakis has pulled the trigger. He has finally let go of Steve Cooper. From things that have come out and from your own videos, it certainly seems like there's been quite a lot that's gone on behind the scenes. But moving temporarily on from that, how are you feeling about the new man, Nuno Espirito Santo? Obviously, he spent time in Saudi Arabia most recently, but obviously did a less than stellar job with Tottenham. But with Wolves, he was brilliant. So I'm sure you're hoping more for the Wolves Espirito Santo than of necessarily the Spurs or Saudi Arabia one.
It depends what perspective you look at it from. Like, my brother's a Spurs fan. He did not like Nuno at Spurs because he was boring, was what he kept saying. It's been telling me for the last day or so, yeah. But when you break down and you actually remember what he did, he went into Spurs. He beat Man City, Arsenal, and a couple of others, all 1-0 off the bat. I think they even went top. He got manager of the month. You had the Spurs fans doing what they do best, dreaming and giving themselves the title after a month, and then Spurs do a Spurs. It's unavoidable. We've seen it with Ange this season, flew at the top, then they couldn't win a game until the gift that keeps on giving, Forest, Newcastle before that. So I don't read too much into the Spurs thing, because how long did he get? Like 4 or 5 months there?
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Really small. And I look at the Wolves period, and I just see it as a structure that's quite similar to Forest. The pathway he did, he got us promoted, a bit like Cooper did. I think Cooper did the harder promotion, getting us from bottom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I don't think there's any disputing that. But then look at what he did in the Premier League. He came straight to 7th place, straight promotion. Only a couple have done better than that. Obviously, Frank Clark did it 3rd, but that was in a slightly different era. And then he didn't just get the second season syndrome. He exactly mirrored what they did, took him to the quarterfinals in the UEFA Cup, and it's just solid. And what we need, really. I think he's going to come in. Well, I'm hoping he's going to come in, steady the ship, get the manager bounce this Saturday, and then push us higher up the table into. I'm hoping this season, John. I'm hoping we get a boring, stress-free second half to the season, man. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I'm happy with him because he is a name I've had on my list since, well, how long has it been now that I've had my doubts on Cooper? Over a year.
Yeah.
He was on my list with a couple of others. But is he going to come in and play, you know, tiki-taka, prime Barca football? Of course he's not. But he's very adaptable with the squad he brings in. And if you look at the Wolves fan, they got nothing but praise to say about him. They treat him how we treated Cooper. Some even, you know, give him Messiah status at Wolves. So but what I will say is I don't judge anyone before they've kicked a ball or put the team out to kick the ball. There are Forest fans who are like, wrong decision on Cooper, wrong decision on new manager. Some are right decision on Cooper, wrong decision on new manager. And I'm like, just let him get his, you know, game plan on the pitch, get the philosophy done. Let's see how it looks after Christmas. We've got a hard run. We've got a hard run, starting with you lot. And your form starting to annoy me.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I suppose before we just talk a little bit about the game and what you might expect from Nuno, it's obviously not been the season that you would have hoped for. There were a number of incomings. There were a few outgoings. One, obviously notable one, was Brennan Johnson for quite a hefty fee. Going into the season, how were you feeling? Obviously, ignoring whatever your doubts still were about Cooper, what were you feeling before going into the season with a bunch of these new signings? Admittedly, a lot of those came through very late, but once the transfer window closed, how were you feeling about what you thought the season was going to be?
I always get overhyped after a transfer window because you know what? I'm not used to this 300 million players coming in thing. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, he's decent. I remember him doing this at his old club and what have you. And then when Sangare comes through the door, you're like, yeah, we're winning the league. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you get carried away, is my point. Because who could have thought Sangare would have been coming to Forest? So I was looking at the balance of the squad. I did think we went over heavy with the defenders we signed. Like Omobamidele we haven't even seen him anywhere near a pitch. Santos from Chelsea, who I rate, nowhere near a pitch either. There's been a lot of players. Montiel coming in, World Cup winner. Tavares, who I'm glad kind of hasn't played that much, so I don't fully rate him.
I forgot about Montiel.
Yeah, there's loads, mate. There's loads you'll forget about. Like literally, I have to look through the team photo every now and again just to make sure I can remember it. Because not because there's so many, but because so many haven't had any impact or played at all in any games. So like looking at it at the time when the window closed, I was like, yeah, this is a solid mid-table team. If Cooper can figure stuff out, maybe he can push, you know, towards top 10 at a real big push, but we shouldn't be anywhere near a relegation fight. And as the season's developed, especially with Taiwo getting injured, you can just see the lightness up front because we still have Cooper's other amazing signing, Chris Wood, 19 million. What a deal that was. And he's just been atrocious as a backup. And even Origi, I remember when the window closed, a lot of the Forest fans were asking me, what do you think of Origi? And I said to him, to be honest, I would have rather we got back Schwei because it seemed like it was going to be one or the other. Yeah. And yeah, I still hold that position because Origi, to be fair to him, he hasn't really had any kind of run in the game. He gets chucked on as a sub. He did start the other day against, who was it? I can't even remember anymore. Who we played recently? It was like 2 games ago, but he looks like he's got more about him, but he still doesn't look like he's got much about him. You know, I think he's living off those Liverpool goals, folklore with Liverpool. So yeah, in essence, yeah, there was probably too many players. Were they all Cooper signings? Probably not. Should that matter? In my opinion, not really. I mean, he's a head coach. He's not head of recruitment. You got a recruitment team for a reason. They should have communicated better between them. But overall, I did get giddy. I'm not going to lie. There was some good names in there. But I still felt you guys had a better window, which I admitted to you at the time.
You did indeed.
You at the time. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I was with the transfer window, mate.
It looks like Fulham was the game that he started in. So that just goes to show you what an impact he had in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
in that result. So I suppose pushing forward, looking onto the game itself, I have to say I'm a little bit confused in terms of, not that I don't think Nuno's a good manager, because I really do. One of the things that forgive me if I'm wrong, but one of the things I heard about Marinakis wanting was a back four and to play more aggressive attacking football. And while Nuno probably could deliver some, and obviously did with Wolves, some very exciting attacking football, he very clearly favoured a back three. And you are loaded with defenders, and Cooper liked using a back three. So I'm a little. So do you expect Nuno to stick with the back four? Do you think he's going to revert to a formation he's had a lot of success with the back three?
I think he's going back three against you. I think we'll probably see something like a 3-4-3, maybe even a 5-3-2. I'm just going to do the numbers. Yeah, 5-3-2, something like that. Depending on how much he wants to block out the midfield. I think against you, he'll fancy it as a 3-4-3. I know what you're saying with Marinakis. I prefer a back four personally, but I don't necessarily believe a back three means it's going to be defensive low block football. We've seen plenty of managers who've kind of done good things with back threes. And Marinakis, I mean, to be honest, bro, anyone coming in and getting 5 passes strung together with our team and 3 minutes in an opposition half, it will look more attacking than what we've been used to. So I don't think the bar is going to be set that high in terms of an attacking differential from what we've seen. So I think Marinakis now realizes the club needs restabilization into the Premier League. It needs probably, I hate the word, but a project manager. I think that's always just a way of saying it. Let's just kick down any problems down the road and restart another project with another project, But I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think Nunes is renowned as being an attacking manager. But what's interesting and gets overlooked about Nunes, I keep calling him Nunes, about Nuno is that he played a back four at Spurs. He was a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 guy there. And the same he did in Al Ittihad when he was in Saudi, and what he did at Valencia and Porto as well. He was quite heavily back four. He doesn't have a formation that he sticks to. He kind of bases it around the quality of the squad he's got and also the expectation. Like with Valencia, I think they finished 4th in his first season. So he was expected to play more progressive attacking football, whereas Wolves was more of an establishment club into the Premier League. Hence, he developed that 3-4-3 formation. So yeah, it's the Greek father will demand more attacking football, but I think he will give him time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I suppose we've got to move on to the match itself then. Obviously, you mentioned that you do still have players out. I believe Awoniyi, obviously the big one, is still out. And Cooper was trying to shift back to his old boys in those last few games, which is a very Eddie Howe thing to do as well. He loved going back to the old faithfuls. Obviously, it's going to be incredibly difficult to give me a predicted lineup, but I'm sure you'll manage to do that on your own videos. But how do you see it being set up? What would be your best guess? Because obviously you don't really. I'm sure he could use Wood, but we've seen a lot of Elanga and Morgan Gibbs White up front as a pair. You mentioned possibly a 5-3-2, so we could see those two. Yeah. Do you have any reasonable guesses as to how this is gonna look?
I think I know what his headaches are going to be, and he's going to have to work backwards from that. The major headache is what does he do with the striker? Because obviously Taiwo's still out for a while, so he's got 3 options. Wood, if you want to call him an option, you got Origi, or you play a false 9. Now, I know I just took the mick out of Wood, but Wood may work in the style that Nuno may do. He may be a very bad version of when Jimenez was doing it for Wolves, because Jimenez isn't the quickest.
No.
What Jimenez was good at was holding the ball up and then bringing the wingers into play. So maybe he attempts that. I don't know how long that attempt would last, but I personally think he's going to go 3-4-3. I think he's going to want to come out swinging a little, but limited by the Taiwo injury. And I don't think it's a good excuse anyway. Well, maybe for Nuno it's okay, but for Cooper, I mean, Cooper wanted Wood, so these were the players he put his trust in. So I think it'll be a 3-4-3, but then that gives him a Morgan Gibbs-White headache, because where do you put Morgan Gibbs-White?
Yeah,
he should not be playing out wide. He's not a winger. He needs to play in the middle. And I think the setup, if he went a 3-4-3, he'd be looking at Sangare and Mangala as the two, because he likes his two centre midfielders to hold rather than looking at box-to-box eights or something like that. He likes to use them to recycle the ball, etc., and then protect the defensive line. So Morgan Gibbs-White can't fit into there. The other thing we may see, and I don't know if I'm fully on board with it, but it's an idea I'm floating in my head, is instead of playing Morgan Gibbs-White wide on the right, play someone like Nico Williams up there, if he's not going to go with Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's still working back to fitness, and then obviously Elanga on the other side. So it's hard yet to predict exactly what he's going to do, which may actually make it harder for your boy Areola to figure out what's coming your way. But I think the back three, probably you will see Bolly, because Bolly's his boy, isn't he, from Wolves times?
Yeah.
So he's got a good relationship with him. And I think you'll see Murillo play in the middle of the back three, and then Niakate on the left, with Murillo probably being pushed up slightly to almost play as a, I don't know, I'm going to make up a position here, but a sweeper CDM. You know what I mean? Where he can kind of go between the two and start the ball progression out. So I think for 3-4-3. I'll be very surprised if he goes 4-2-3-1, even though probably that will fit the players that he's got available to him, minus the striker issue. So that's a long-winded way of saying I got no idea, John.
Yep, that's fair enough. But at least you built up to that. So for the game itself, then, what's your prediction? Obviously, Bournemouth have done all right at Forest Ground last couple of times. I've been there the last two visits, and we come away with 3 points both times. Very different situation now with a different. Well, to be fair, it was a different manager both the previous two times. It was Houghton the first time I went. The time I went there 2 years ago.
A different manager every time as well, didn't you? Because O'Neill had just come in, hadn't he? For you?
Yes, that was O'Neill's.
That was your manager bounce game. Was that your manager bounce? It was around that time, wasn't it?
We played Wolves at home and drew 0-0 just about, and then we went to yours and were 2-0 down at half time and came back on that one. So yeah, actually, it's a completely different set of managers from both sides every time in the last 3 years. But yeah, what's your score prediction?
If we were doing this on Sunday, I would have not admitted it, but I would have been pretty confident you'd beat us, and probably beat us comfortably. Problem is, John, it's the unknown now, and I kind of like it. It's exciting me, man. I got that fire in me again for Forest, man. But I like what Areola's doing. He was a manager that we were linked to, and me and Sai from our channel, we were like, this guy would work at Forest as well. I was surprised it took him that long to get his philosophy across. And I know a few, not you, but a few of the Bournemouth fans are starting to lose patience a bit with what they were seeing, because you were dire at the start of the season. And then it just suddenly clicked, man. And I was like, for God's sake, here we go. But as I told you at the start of the season, I like your recruitment. I like some of the players you've brought in, and you still haven't seen your best signing for me. What's his face? Tyler Adams coming in. So I think there's even more to come out of you. So as much as I don't like Bournemouth with your cheating in the promotion season, with those brown envelopes when Surridge should have got the goal, your roof has still got issues. Have you fixed those roof issues?
I don't know. We'll wait and see when the next storm happens.
But what's even funnier, and I've been asked to remind you like this, is you can't even sell your away ticket allocation. What's happening there?
Have we not?
No.
Well, I mean, 23rd of December. People are sort of getting themselves together for Christmas. It's not
How are
the
you going to
easiest
fill
time
your
to
new
travel to
stadium
Nottingham.
when you can't fill 3K worth of seats away from home, man? Come on.
Well, we sold out the last 2 allocations, did we not? Last 2 years. It's just the timing, I think.
It's the timing. It's the timing. But anyway, I digress. What do I think the score will be? I think it's going to be 1 or 2-0 to Forest.
He's feeling confident.
I can be cocky again now because
if you can't feel confident now.
2 days ago, I would have probably said secretly 3-0 Bournemouth. But I just look, it's Solanke that annoys me and Billing, man. Billing always seems to score. Is he playing at the moment?
He's been coming off the bench the last few games. He came on and scored against Man U, and he came on at half time at Luton before obviously that got held up. So yeah, he's been making sub appearances recently.
Do you think he'll start?
Probably not. I think he'll stick to the exact same team again. In all likelihood. But he came on and scored against Man United. He could do the same in another team in red.
He scores from the same blade of grass for the last, you know what I mean? The same. I think it was even the same end, and it's he's just. I like him, but I hate him. But I hate him.
That's what you always do with the opposition players, don't you?
As well, Cliver. I've always had my eye on him. I think he will be good for you, but you kind of. I still don't really know what his position is. You played him in the 10, didn't you, against Man U?
Yeah, that's where he's been playing. Yeah, he's quite a free 10. He plays. He plays just behind Solanke almost all the time. So
yeah,
with occasional runs beyond, he's doing pretty decently there at the moment. But that's been, I think that's been a good conversation. Thanks for coming on and chatting to us about Forest and and about the absolutely nothing that we know about how Forest are actually going to be on Saturday. I will be there, so I'm looking forward to travelling over and seeing how that happens. But obviously, apart from on Saturday, I do wish you guys luck for the season.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Do.
No, you don't. But you'll be there and beat the drop. Well, it won't be this Monday. It'll be the Monday after, Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's New Year's after that. The one after that. Anyway, appreciate coming on. Guys, make sure you hit the like button for John because his room is always tidy. Yeah. We should be getting likes just for that. I've never seen like anything out of place. So you should hit the like button just for that.
And that is where we end today's video. But thank you very much for coming on, Wolfie, and thank you for everyone for watching along. As he said, please do hit the like button, not just for my room, but for the conversation and for Wolfie. But do subscribe as well. We're very close to 2K. And let us know what you think in the comments with your score prediction or how you think the game's going to go. But until the match and until we see you next time, thanks for joining on Cherries Red Army. Up the cherries.